Welcome to Shani Makes. Here is another tutorial for making Mondays. Today I am going to show you how to make a surgical style 3 pleats face mask using 3 layers of fabric. This mask has bounded edges to eliminate bulk on the pleated edge. It also has an optional nose bar to make it fitted. You can choose to make a 2-layer mask if you want. If you can't get hold of any aluminium strips, then I suggest you to cut one out of a face mask. This is 3 to 4 mm wide, usually between 9 to 12 cm long. The best option is to use woolly nylon elastic. This is less likely to irritate the ears. This is very stretchy and very soft, and it is close to the one used on surgical masks. Here is another good option, especially if you want the elastic to match your fabric. I was lucky to find this in my local stationery shop. It is very stretchy and very soft, similar to the ones you find on hair bands and hair bubbles, but a lot softer. Last but not least, you could always cut some of some surgical masks and use the elastic. First of all, print off the pattern required. The pattern itself is not to scale. You will need it to make a folding template. This will help you fold your pleats. All you need to do is get an A4 piece of paper. Using a pencil and a ruler, transfer the markings to the paper. Don't worry about the width for now. Now look on the side of the sheet and use that measurement indicated by the length. I have deliberately left out the measurement where it says cut times 3. I will explain more later on in the tutorial. And I will stop there. Then what I do is I start measuring downwards, 5 mm, then 15 mm. I find it this way is a lot more accurate. Basically the area around the cut times 3 is to give you a bit of leeway, so that you don't have to be stuck with an accurate measurement. But if you worked it out using the length, you can easily tell that is the largest number on the pattern. Make sure you pre-wash or soak your fabrics and make sure it's dry before you start any projects. This also includes interfacing if you decide to use it. This will eliminate any shrinkage in the future. It is best to stick with lightweight interfacing. You don't want to alter the structure of your fabric too much. For demonstration purposes, I am using a cotton for the outer layer. My middle layer is going to be a poly cotton. For the lining fabric, I have chosen to use a double gauze for its absorbency. You will need to do your own research depending on the type of mask you want to make. Okay, so let's press all the fabrics and get it ready for pattern cutting. The two measurements you will need is the width and the length. First measure the width in 2 places, then join it with a straight line. But for the length, here is the little tip. Make sure your length is slightly 1 to 2 centimeters longer than it's needed. I will explain why in a bit. Put the fabrics in order and make sure the right side of the fabric is facing the right way out. Okay, we are going to deal with the bottom edge. Because our mask is 3 layers and my cotton gauze is slightly thick, when pressing the 5mm and the 10mm, this seam is going to be very thick. So the first thing we need to do is to baste the fabrics together. So roughly 3mm away from the raw edge. This is just to hold it together, to make it easier to handle. Leave the top edge alone. At the bottom edge, clip or pin the template to the fabric. Now begin to fold the pleats. Remember I told you to cut the fabric slightly longer by 1 to 2 centimeters. This is why. You will notice the fabric shifting at the very top. Use a metal ruler, this will help a lot. Be careful, the metal ruler will become very hot. Otherwise use a straight edge piece of cardboard. Never use a plastic ruler, it will distort in the heat. Start noticing the fabric at the top edge when you are pleating. Do you notice the fabric is shifting? This is what happens when you use 3 layers of fabric and the fabric are different thicknesses and behaves differently. Also, the amount of pleating will affect the fabric. And why I asked you to add extra 1 to 2 centimeters when cutting out the length. I am trying to compensate for the shifting of the fabric. Now we can trim off the excess fabric. So now we can press the seams. 15mm. Do your best because I know this bit is going to be a bit difficult. Remove the template if you need to. Then press the final 5mm. Turn it around and press the other edge. Remember it's 5mm, then 10. Now you can cut out the binding strips. Use your pleated mask to check the length. Make sure the length is 1 to 2 centimeters longer at the top and the bottom. This will include the seam allowance. The width will be 4 centimeters. If you are using thick elastic, then I would suggest you to make sure your seam allowance is a lot more thinner. Just make sure when you press your seam allowance it doesn't meet up in the middle. That way the binding pattern is slightly wider. We're going to baste along the edge of the mask to secure the pleats. We are now going to sew the bottom edge. Fold over 5mm, then 10mm. Top stitch this 2 to 3mm from the edge. Now for the nose bar. Fold under 5mm and then 15mm. Put the nose bar underneath that 15mm. Making sure the nose bar is tucked inside so that you don't sew over it. Again, top stitch along the edge. Trim off any excess thread and tidy up. If you like, you can sew 2 sides of the nose bar just to secure it in place. Because my strip is so long, I didn't bother. Trim off the edges to eliminate bulk. I have a way of folding my binding ends. I would fold it down, then over and over. I find it less likely for my loop turner to get jammed when threading the elastic. Now you're going to top stitch on the binding, about 1 to 2mm from the seam. Okay, almost done. We just need to attach the elastic. Cut it to the length required. This will help seal and stop it from fraying. This is a very handy tool to have. This is a ruler loop turner. I find it very easy to use for pulling the elastic through. This is usually used for turning tubes or spaghetti straps. You can always use a hair grip or a bobby pin to pull the elastic through the channel. To make it nice and neat and presentable, always put the ends of the elastic inside the binding. I hope you will give this a go. Here is another option for the overhead and neck strap to take the strain off the ears. Click on the link in the description or go to my website to download project patterns and envelopes. Please support by giving me a like, follow, subscribe and share. Thank you. Here's a little gift for you. Download the envelope to keep all your patterns organised. Thanks for watching. See you next time.